Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm making scones from scratch for the first time. I'm actually going to make 2 batches of scones. For the first batch, I am using cake flour. I never have this in my pantry, but a family member was making cupcakes in my kitchen recently, and she brought cake flour and left it behind. You can always just use all-purpose flour. I'm then adding in a half a cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm mixing this all together, and then I'm going to set it aside in the fridge to keep it cool while I mix up the wet ingredients. In a bowl, I'm adding an egg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and a half a cup of heavy cream. The recipe states that you can use buttermilk or cream, but I never have buttermilk, so cream it is. I'm just whisking that together, and then I put this in the refrigerator because I want to keep everything cold. I pulled the flour mixture out of the fridge, and to that I'm grating 1 stick of frozen butter. Grating butter is not a horrible process, but it took longer and was a little more effort than I expected it to be, so I just keep grating and grating and grating. Once the butter is finally grated, I'm using a pastry blender to incorporate it into the flour and then adding the liquids into the flour mixture. The recipe said to do this and then add the mix-ins, but it would make much more sense really to add the mix-ins to the flour before combining it all together, but whatever. I'm adding cherries to this batch because I still have a bunch of cherries in the freezer from last summer and I need to use them up. Whole cherries would be a little too big for the scones, so I'm cutting them all in half and then adding them into the batter and folding them in. I decided to just dump the dough onto the counter with some flour to work it all together. Once it's all incorporated, I'm shaping it into a disc that's about 8 inches in diameter and then cutting it into 8 pieces. I place the pieces on a parchment-lined baking sheet, being sure to space them out a little bit because they do expand as they bake. I think the last step here is pretty important, and that is to place them in the freezer for about 20 minutes before I bake them. And while they're chilling, I am cleaning up this big mess that I made. Once the scones are chilled, I'm brushing them with a little cream and then baking them at 400 degrees for a little more than 20 minutes, just until they're golden brown. They came out great, and tomorrow I want to try another batch. Welcome to day 2 of scone making. Today I'm making butterscotch pecan mini scones. I decided for this batch to just use the all-purpose flour to see if I notice any difference between all-purpose and cake flour, and spoiler alert, I did not. I followed the same process as I did yesterday, except I tried the grater attachment on my food processor for the butter. Not sure which process I prefer. I think it would actually just be easier to use refrigerated butter, cut it in with the pastry blender, and then stick the flour and the butter mixture into the freezer and let it freeze that way. I think I'm going to try that next time because this grating butter thing just seems to be more mess than it's worth. I also added my mix-ins to the flour before the liquids. And since the butterscotch seems like it'll be much sweeter and therefore make a much richer scone, I decided to divide the dough into 2 discs for a total of 16 mini scones. I baked them just a little shy of the 20 minutes that I did for the larger ones, and yes, they were delicious. I will put the link to the recipe I used down in the description box. You can also visit my blog post for some more information. That link will also be included below. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.